Shiv Puran is a very famous Puran in Hindu mythology, in which various benevolent forms of Lord Shiva, glory of Lord Shiva, Shiv Parvati marriage, birth of Kartikeya, and Shiv worship have been described in detail. Apart from the Leelas and stories of Lord Shiva, various types of worship methods and enlightening teachings have also been mentioned in this Puran. Although it is believed that the number of verses in the original Shiv Mahapuran was 1 lakh, but Maharshi Ved Vyas Ji summarized it into 24,000 verses. Shiv Puran contains a detailed description of the philosophical analysis, mystery, glory and worship of Shiva's benevolent form. It is written in Sanskrit language. In this, he has been accepted as the chief eternal and perfect God among the Panch Devas. Apart from Shiva's glory and Leela tales, it has a beautiful combination of worship method, many knowledgeable stories and instructive tales. In this, the grand personality of Lord Shiva has been praised. There are 24,000 verses in this Puran and it has 7 parts, Sanhitas, which are respectively as follows. These 12 Sanhitas are 1. Vidyeshwar Sanhita 2. Rudra Sanhita 3. Vinayak Sanhita 4. Uma Sanhita 5. Sehasrekoti Rudra Sanhita 6. Ekdash Rudra Sanhita 7. Kailash Sanhita 8. Shatrudra Sanhita 9. Koti Rudra Sanhita 10. Matri Sanhita 11. Vaivaya Sanhita and 12. Dharma Sanhita. Vidyeshwar Sanhita has 10,000 verses. Rudra Sanhita, Vinayak Sanhita, Uma Sanhita and Matri Sanhita each have 8,000 verses. Ekdasha Rudra Sanhita has 13,000, Kailash Sanhita has 6,000, Shatrudra Sanhita has 3,000, Kotirudra Sanhita has 9,000, Sehasrekoti Rudra Sanhita has 11,000, Vaivya Sanhita has 4,000 and Dharma Sanhita has 12,000 verses. The original Shiv Puran has a total of 1 lakh verses, but Vyas Ji has shortened it to 24,000 verses. Shiv Puran is in the 4th place in the order of the Purans, which has 7 Sanhitas. In the past, Lord Shiva had written a Puran Granth of 100 crore verses. This Puran literature created at the beginning of creation was very extensive. In Dwapar Yug, great sages like Dwapayan divided the Purana into 18 parts and summarized it into 4 lakh verses. After this, Vyas Ji presented it in 24,000 verses. This Shiva Purana with 7 Sanhitas is as authentic as Vedas and provides the best salvation. This pure Shiv Puran has been composed by Lord Shiva and the credit of compiling it in brief goes to Vyas Ji. Shiv Puran is beneficial for all living beings and destroys all sins. It is the one that provides welfare to the virtuous. It is without comparison, and it has the Advait knowledge propounded by Vedas and the propounding of honest religion. Shiv Puran is a collection of the best mantra groups, and it is the means of attaining Shiv Dham for everyone. The best among all the Purans, Shiv Puran is an object of knowledge for scholars with a heart free from jealousy. God has been praised in it. A person who reads and listens to this nectar with respect becomes the favorite of Lord Shiva and attains the ultimate salvation. Shiv Puran Mahatmya. A story of redemption. In the age of darkness, when the weight of sin had begun to overshadow Dharma, there lived a man named Chand, a Chandal, an outcast. He lived on the outskirts of the city, far from the temples, far from the Vedas, and far from the respect of society. Chand was not a bad man, but his life had been hard. Raised in ignorance, driven by hunger, he hunted animals, stole to survive, and had never heard the name of Lord Shiva. One hot afternoon, Chand was wandering through the forest. Exhausted, he stumbled upon a small hermitage, hidden among tall trees. Unknown to him, inside the hermitage, a group of rishis were reciting the Shiv Puran, their voices flowing like a sacred river. Om Namah Shivaya. Jai Jai Shankar. Har Har Mahadev. Chand was tired. He sat under a tree just outside the ashram. He didn't know it, but the vibrations of the Shiv Puran had reached his ears, and deeper, into his soul. That night, under the stars, Chand had a strange dream. A man with ash, smeared across his body, his matted hair coiled like a serpent, and a crescent moon glowing on his forehead, appeared before him. The figure spoke gently. O seeker of truth, the dust of sin can be blown away by even the faintest breeze of devotion. You listened to my story without knowing, but your heart was open. That is enough. When Chand awoke, he felt different. His chest felt light, his thoughts calmer, and a strange peace settled in his heart. The fire of cruelty that once burned inside him had become a flame of curiosity. From that day on, Chand returned to the hermitage daily, never entering, but always sitting outside. Slowly, he began to understand the stories. How Markandeya defeated death through Shiva's grace. How Parvati won Shivji love through penance. How chanting Om Namah Shivaya could burn lifetimes of karma. One day, an old sage from the ashram stepped out and approached Chand. He said, "You have listened in silence, with humility. That alone is enough to change your destiny. Come in, brother, and take refuge in Shiva's name." With tearful eyes, Chand entered the hermitage and bowed to the Shiva Linga for the first time in his life. Years passed and Chand lived a life of simplicity, devotion, and service. His name and past faded into the wind. At the end of his life, as he sat in meditation under the very tree where it all began, a soft chant filled the air. Om Namah Shivaya. And in a vision of white light, Lord Shiva himself appeared, smiling gently. You listened to my story once, Shiva said, and in that moment, you were mine. Come now, beloved soul. The cycle of birth and death ends here. Chand's soul rose into the sky, free at last. Moral of the Shiv Puran Mahatmya is: even a single moment of sincere listening to the Shiv Puran can purify lifetimes of sin. One does not need status or scholarship, only devotion. Wherever Shiva's stories are heard, the Lord himself is present. The Mahatmya teaches us that the Shiv Puran is not just a book, it is a living force, a path to moksha. So the next time you listen to the stories of Shiva, whether in a temple, a forest, or your own home, remember this. You are not just hearing a tale. You are inviting Shiv into your soul. Om Namah Shivaya, Jai Bholenath. Shiv Puran Chapter 1. Story of the Vidyeshwar Samhita. Long before the cities rose and empires fell, deep within a timeless forest called Naimishranya, a group of wise sages gathered. The wind was soft, the trees whispered ancient secrets, and the earth itself seemed to listen. The sages were troubled. One of them, old and wise, stood and asked, "In this age of confusion, where dharma fades and truth hides, is there still a path for the soul to reach the eternal?" Silence followed, a silence so deep it touched the stars. Then, stepping forward from the shade of the trees was sage Romharshana, a disciple of the great Vyas. His eyes were calm, his heart still like a mountain lake. He bowed and said softly, "Yes, there is a path. It is ancient, simple, and supreme. It is the path of Shiva, and the key to that path lies in a sacred scripture, the Shiv Puran." The sages leaned in, and the forest held its breath. Romharshana began to narrate the Vidyeshwar Samhita, the first book of the Shiv Puran, the book of knowledge. He told how Lord Shiva, formless and infinite, had created this Puran through his divine will. It was the essence of all scriptures, the heartbeat of devotion, and the torchlight of truth. But this was no ordinary text. It was said that even if a sinner, a thief, a drunkard, or a murderer simply heard the words of the Shiv Puran with an open heart, they would be purified, lifted from darkness into light. One sage interrupted, "Can just listening really lead to liberation?" Rom Harshana smiled. Once, a poor outcast sat outside a temple where the Shiv Puran was being recited. He knew no Sanskrit, he knew no rituals, yet the words reached his ears. He closed his eyes and felt peace. In his next life, he was born a yogi, and in the one after, he merged with Shiva himself. Then Rom Harshana spoke of the Shiva Linga. Shiv is without beginning or end. He has no shape, no body, no name, and yet, to help us reach him, he reveals himself as the Linga, a simple, sacred symbol. Worship the Linga with just a drop of water, and if your heart is pure, you have worshipped the universe. He described the rituals not as rigid instructions, but as gateways to surrender. The Bilva leaf was not just a leaf, it was a gesture of love. The chant Om Namah Shivaya was not just sound, it was a call home. Rom Harshana then paused and looked at the sages. "You want to know what pleases Shiva?" he asked. "It is not wealth, not fire offerings, not gold or gems. It is truthfulness and non-violence. It is compassion, devotion, and simplicity. A man who harms none, who speaks gently, who remembers Shiva even once with love, that man is dearer to Shiva than 1,000 kings performing rituals." Next, he spoke of the Guru, the spiritual teacher. Scriptures are vast, deep like the ocean. But without a boat, you will drown. That boat is the Guru. A real teacher does not bind you, he breaks your chains. He does not fill your head, he awakens your heart. Rom Harshana described the greatness of sacred days like Shivratri, journeys to Jyotirlings, fasting and chanting. But he warned, pilgrimage is not only walking to a distant temple, it is walking toward your own soul. Fasting is not only avoiding food, it is removing ego. Shiva is not found only in Kashi or Kailash. He lives within you, waiting to be seen. And then Rom Harshana ended his teaching with these words. This is the Vidyeshwar Sanghita, not just a text, but a mirror. It shows us who we are and who we can become. Listen to it, and your heart becomes a temple. Live by it, and you become Shiva himself. The sages bowed. The wind whispered again. And the forest, once silent, now hummed with the sound of truth. Shiv Puran Chapter 2. Rudra Sanghita, the Supreme Saga. In the beginning, there was Shunyata, absolute nothingness. No earth, no sky, no gods, no time, only the unmanifested reality. Then, from this infinite void, emerged a brilliant, boundless Jyoti, divine light, illuminating the cosmos. This light took the form of Sadashiv, the supreme being beyond birth and death. With him was Adi Shakti, the eternal energy. Together, they were the ultimate source of everything, male and female, time and timelessness, form and formlessness. From their divine will, the Trimurti were born. Brahma, the creator. Vishnu, the preserver. Rudra, the destroyer. And thus, the cycle of Srishti, creation, Sthiti, preservation, and Samhara, destruction, began. Once, a great dispute arose between Brahma and Vishnu. Brahma proclaimed, "I am the creator, hence I am supreme." Vishnu countered, "I protect the world, therefore I am supreme." As their argument escalated, the universe trembled. Suddenly, before their astonished eyes appeared a pillar of infinite light, the Jyotirlinga. A heavenly voice echoed, "He who finds the end of this infinite pillar shall be known as supreme." Vishnu assumed the form of a boar, Varha, and plunged downwards, seeking the base. Brahma transformed into a swan, Hamsa, and soared upwards, searching for the summit. Vishnu, after eons, returned humbled, I could not find the end. Brahma, in arrogance lied, I found the top and took the Ketki flower as witness. At that moment, Shiva appeared from the pillar, revealing his Rudra form, eyes blazing with truth. Falsehood has no place in Dharma, thundered Shiva, cursing Brahma that he would never be worshipped on earth, and blessed Vishnu for his honesty. This marked the origin of Shiva worship in the Lingam form, symbolizing infinity, without beginning or end. Far away, King Daksha, the son of Brahma, performed intense penance. Blessed with a daughter, Sati, Daksha's heart was filled with pride. Sati, however, from childhood, was enchanted by the tales of Lord Shiva, his meditative aura, his compassion, his indifference to material pleasures. She grew up worshipping him, longing for his companionship. Ignoring her father's scorn, Sati performed tapasya, penance, standing on one leg in the forest, chanting the Panchakshari mantra Om Namah Shivaya. Pleased, Shiva appeared before her. Choose your boon, O daughter of Daksha, said Shiva gently. With a smile, Sati bowed, I wish for nothing but to be your consort. And thus, Sati and Shiva were united in holy matrimony, their wedding blessed by all gods, except Daksha, who fumed in his pride. Years passed. Daksha organized a grand yagna, inviting gods, sages, and celestial beings, but deliberately excluded Shiva and Sati. Ignoring Shiva's advice, Sati went to the yagna. There, Daksha humiliated her husband, ridiculing his wild appearance and association with ghosts. Unable to bear the insult, Sati invoked her yogic powers and immolated herself in the sacrificial fire, declaring, I abandon this mortal body born of your arrogance. When Shiva learned of Sati's death, his fury knew no bounds. From his matted locks sprang the ferocious Veerbhadra and Bhairavi, who decimated the yagna, punished the gods, and severed Daksha's head. Later, Shiva's anger gave way to sorrow. In compassion, he resurrected Daksha, giving him a goat's head, and withdrew from the world, wandering the Himalayas in grief. On the snowy peaks of Himalaya, Sati was reborn as Parvati, the gentle daughter of Himvan and Menka. Her beauty was unmatched, but her heart yearned only for Lord Shiva. Determined, Parvati embarked on severe penance. She stood amidst snowstorms, consumed only air, and meditated on Shiva Lingam for thousands of years. The gods, troubled by the demon Tarkasura, who could be defeated only by Shiva's son, devised a plan. Kama, the god of love, was sent to awaken Shiva from his trance. As Kama aimed his love arrow, Shiva opened his third eye, burning Kama into ashes. Yet, his heart softened upon witnessing Parvati's unwavering devotion. You have conquered my heart, O Parvati, smiled Shiva. The world rejoiced at the celestial wedding of Shiva and Parvati, a union of penance and grace, asceticism and love. From the union of Shiva and Parvati were born Kartikeya, the valiant commander who vanquished Tarkasura. Ganesha, created by Parvati's essence to guard her privacy. When Shiva, unaware, severed Ganesha's head, Parvati's grief shook the cosmos. To console her, Shiva resurrected Ganesha with an elephant's head, blessing him as Pratham Pujya, the first to be worshipped in all endeavors. The Rudra Samhita beautifully describes Shiva's infinite forms. Dakshinamurti, the silent teacher imparting wisdom through mere glance. Nataraj, dancing the Ananda Tandav, controlling creation, sustenance, and destruction. Ardhanarishvara, symbolizing the balance of masculine and feminine. Dikshatana, the wandering mendicant, teaching humility. Bhairava, the fierce protector against injustice. Shiva, known as Bholenath, is easily pleased by simple offerings, bay leaves, water, and heartfelt prayers, blessing both gods and demons alike. In various stories, Shiva teaches the value of detachment, vairagya, and devotion, bhakti. To Markandeya, he grants immortality for undying devotion. To Ravan, he grants strength but also humbles his pride. To Ganas and yogis, he reveals the secrets of meditation and liberation. Through his Leelas, Shiva demonstrates that he belongs to all, gods, demons, sages, animals, and common folk. The Rudra Samhita concludes with a profound message. The supreme truth is beyond form yet manifests in many forms. Ego leads to downfall, surrender leads to salvation. The path to liberation is through simplicity, truth, and unwavering devotion. Shiva is not distant, he is within every heart, awaiting sincere remembrance. The sacred Om Namah Shivaya echoes through eternity, reminding every being of their divine origin and ultimate return to Shiva, the beginning, the middle, and the end. Thus ends the grand saga of Rudra Samhita, an ocean of wisdom, devotion, and divine play, forever flowing in the hearts of devotees. Shiv Puran Chapter 3 Shatrudra Samhita. In the primordial age, after the universe took form, Lord Shiva manifested in 100 fierce and compassionate forms known as the Shatrudras. At the behest of Brahma, who sought assistance to control creation, Lord Shiva split himself into 100 Rudras, each with unique powers, characteristics, and duties. From his central being emerged Mahadev in the center. 11 Rudras known as Ekdasha Rudras, Kapali, Pingla, Bhima, Virupaksha, Vilohita, Shastra, Ajpada, Ahirbudhanya, Shambhu, Chanda, and Bhava. 90 more forms to balance the cosmos. Each Rudra was assigned a cosmic direction, a role in nature, and protection over different worlds. Their emergence thundered through the universe, establishing Rudra Shakti everywhere, from the highest heavens to the depths of the oceans. The Shatrudras, while fierce, were protectors of righteousness. The Shatrudra Samhita describes their Leelas. The tale of Ajpada Rudra. Ajpada appeared in the southern direction, watching over ancestors, Pitras. When unrighteous yagyas, rituals, were performed, he would burn them with his fiery gaze, teaching humanity to respect dharma in rituals. Bhima Rudra's intervention. Bhima appeared when tyrant kings oppressed their people. With his gigantic form, he would uproot evil rulers, restoring justice, teaching that power without compassion invites destruction. Chanda and Bhava the protectors. When demons harassed sages, Chanda and Bhava Rudras would appear with flaming tridents, vanquishing evil forces, protecting the path of penance, tapasya. Not all Rudras were fierce. Some appeared in peaceful, teaching forms. Shambhu Rudra. As Shambhu, Shiva became the compassionate healer who taught the science of Ayurveda to sages like Dhanvantari and guided the world towards physical and spiritual health. Vilohita Rudra. Manifesting with reddish hue, Vilohita taught Vairagya, detachment. Renunciates and yogis worshipped him to attain peace beyond material desires. Through these gentle forms, Rudra revealed the duality of existence, fierce to evil, gentle to devotees. The Shatrudras permeated the elements. In fire, Rudra became Jatveda, receiving offerings in yagyas. In water, Rudra became Apya Rudra, purifying all beings. In earth, he became Dharni Rudra, holding the mountains. In air, he became Vayu Rudra, the life breath of the world. In sky, Antariksha Rudra, who rode through thunderclouds. This part glorifies Shiva's immanence. He is not limited to temples but exists in every grain of sand, every wave of the ocean, every gust of wind. Shatrudra Samhita describes the chanting of Rudra names. One who chants the Rudra Sahasranama, 1,000 names of Shiva, gains liberation. Each name represents a quality. Mahadev, the great god. Trilochana, three-eyed. Neelkantha, the blue-throated one. Triambaka, father of three worlds. Mrityunjaya, conqueror of death. Saints like Markandeya chanted Rudra names and were blessed with immortality. Even sinful beings, upon uttering these names, attained peace. The Shatrudra Samhita explains the cosmic cycle. Creation, Srishti, through Brahma. Sustenance, Sthiti, through Vishnu. Dissolution, Samhara, through Shiv Rudra. During the end of a cosmic cycle, Rudras unleash their powers, destroying all impurities, allowing fresh creation to bloom. Even during destruction, Rudra's intent is purification, not vengeance, a reminder that destruction leads to renewal. Shatrudra Samhita glorifies sacred sites where Rudra is most active. Kashi, Varanasi, where Shiva grants instant liberation. Kedar, abode of the fierce Rudra in the Himalayas. Somnath, where moon god was freed from a curse by Rudra. Bhimeshwar, Trimbakeshwar, Mahakal, and Rameshwaram. Each Jyotirlinga represents Rudra's infinite light. The story narrates how the lingas appeared to protect Sanatan Dharma. Rudra's grace is supreme. The Samhita details. A hunter turned devotee attained liberation by chanting Shiva unknowingly. A wicked king became virtuous after bathing a shivling with river water. Demons like Bansur received Shiva's protection despite their flaws. Even one leaf of bilva, even one drop of water offered with devotion, melts Rudra's heart. Shiva grants both worldly success and ultimate liberation, making him Bholenath, the innocent god. In the concluding, the Shatrudras teach truthfulness over cleverness, compassion over pride, simplicity over extravagance, selfless devotion over rituals without feeling. They reveal that true moksha, liberation, comes from jnana, knowledge, bhakti, devotion, and vairagya, detachment. The final message echoes. I exist in all beings. Worship me through love and righteousness. Shiva blesses. The learned with wisdom, the poor with sustenance, the sick with healing, the ignorant with guidance, and all beings with Shanti, peace. With chants of Om Namah Shivaya, the Samhita concludes by assuring that anyone who listens or recites it will be free from all fears and sorrows. Shatrudra Samhita is not just stories, it is a pathway of truth, devotion, and self-realization, guiding humanity towards eternal peace under the gentle, powerful gaze of Mahadev. Shiv Puran Chapter 4. Kotirudra Samhita. In the ancient age, after the universe was created, the supreme sages, led by Shaunaka, approached Sut Maharshi and asked, O wise one, tell us about the supreme Rudra, who controls all worlds. Sut smiled and began the narration of the Kotirudra Samhita, which glorifies the infinite aspects of Shiva, encompassing countless Rudras, literally Kotirudra meaning crores of Rudras. In every atom, in every life, in every speck of existence, countless Rudras manifest and dissolve, said Sutji. The story begins with Brahma and Vishnu performing a grand penance to invoke Shiva, desiring his supreme grace to protect the newly created universe. From the cosmic void, Shiva appeared, smiling, with crores of Rudras blazing like a million suns and calming like a million moons. Each Rudra had a purpose, to establish righteousness, to destroy sin, and to nurture devotion. Brahma prayed, O Mahadev, bless us with knowledge of your endless manifestations. Shiva revealed 11 principal Rudras who govern cosmic directions. 8 Bhairvas who control space and protect dharma. 64 Yoginis who dance with the Rudras. Kotis, crores, of Rudras, each assigned to protect various dimensions of creation. Through the power of Yogmaya, Shiva spread Rudra energies into mountains as Girisha, rivers as Jahnavipati, skies as Vyomeshwara, flames as Jatveda, hearts of yogis as Paramatma Rudra. Every grain of dust had Rudra's vibration, every drop of water carried his life force. Thus, Koti Rudra means Shiv exists in every aspect of existence. The sages of Naimishranya desired to perform a great yagna but feared failure due to growing sin in Kali Yuga. They prayed to Lord Shiva. Pleased Shiva appeared and said, "Even in Kali Yuga, those who sincerely chant my names, worship me with devotion, and follow dharma, will have my protection." He explained how in every yagna, Rudras consume ahuti, offerings, through Agni and bless the world. The Koti Rudra Samhita teaches, small offerings please Shiva more than large empty rituals. Sincerity in the heart is the true yagna. Shiva described the places on earth where he manifested as Swayambhu Lingas, self-manifested forms. Among the chief, Kashi Vishwanath, where the soul attains liberation just by dying. Somnath, where the moon god was healed from a curse. Mahakaleshwar, where Shiva protects Ujjain from all dangers. Omkareshwar, symbolizing the Omkara sound in creation. Kedarnath, high in the Himalayas, blessed by the Pandavas. Rameshwaram, worshipped by Lord Rama. Every Jyotirling has a deep story of Shiva's grace to devotees, which shows his omnipresence in the material world. Many legends are narrated in Koti Rudra Samhita of how Shiva's simple-hearted devotees received the highest blessings. The hunter and Shivratri. A hunter, unaware of rituals, stayed on a tree dropping bilva leaves on a lingam during Shivratri. Pleased, Shiva granted him liberation after death. The wicked thief transformed. A thief unknowingly bathed a lingam with holy water while hiding from guards. Shiva forgave his sins and elevated him in his next birth. Markande's immortality. Young Markande, a devotee of Shiva, conquered death by chanting the Mahamrityunjaya mantra, with Shiva himself appearing to defeat Yam, the god of death. These stories teach that Shiva looks at bhakti, devotion, not status or birth. Shiva explains to Parvati, "I am easily pleased with pure love. I accept offerings from both kings and beggars alike." Koti Rudra Samhita prescribes worship of Shivling with water, bilva leaves, sandalwood and simple flowers. Chanting of Om Namah Shivaya, which purifies even the worst sinner. Observing Pradosh Vrat, Shivratri, and respecting cows, elders, and guests. Reading or listening to Shiv Puran removes papkarm, sins. Shiva warns, Dharm declines when external display grows, but true seekers will always find me. Parvati asks, O Lord, in the dark age of Kali, who will protect mankind? Shiva replies, My Koti Rudras will manifest in many forms, as healers, teachers, and saints. As protectors through lingas in temples, and within hearts of true devotees. Even in Kali Yuga, one sincere Om Namah Shivaya will purify a soul and grant liberation. Shiva reveals the Vibhuti Mahima, power of holy ash, the Rudraksh Mahima, and the Shiva Kavacha, armor prayer, for protection. Sutji concludes, those who listen, read, or recite Koti Rudra Samhita with devotion will have their sins burnt, diseases healed, enemies subdued, and finally attain Shiv Lok, the abode of Shiva. Simplicity in worship is higher than complexity. Inner purity is higher than outer show, devotion is higher than scholarship. Chanting Om Namah Shivaya daily aligns one with universal energy. Shiva stands by those who respect all beings, help others, and seek knowledge with humility. The Koti Rudra Samhita is a song of hope in Kali Yuga. It teaches that even in dark times, Mahadev's grace flows abundantly for those with a pure heart. Whether you worship in grand temples or under a simple tree, whether you offer gold or a single drop of water, Shiva responds to sincerity, protects his devotees, and grants the supreme liberation. Om Namah Shivaya. With this chant, the Kotirudra Sanghita ends, blessing the listener with eternal peace, prosperity, and the divine presence of Lord Shiva. Shiv Puran Chapter 5. Uma Sanghita, the story of divine love. In the golden age, when the world was fresh and the mountains stood tall, sages gathered in the holy land of Naimishranya and asked Sut Maharshi to narrate the story of Shiva and Uma, Parvati. Sut ji began, "This is not merely a story of love, but a guide to liberation. In the beginning, Shiva, the Supreme Lord, danced the Tandav, balancing creation and destruction. Though unattached to worldly affairs, the cosmic rhythm required Shiva to take part in worldly life. But how could the supreme ascetic fall into family life? The answer lay in Uma, the divine goddess. Sutji narrated the ancient tale of Sati, daughter of King Daksha. From birth, Sati adored Lord Shiva, seeing him not as a wild hermit but the eternal protector. Against her father's pride, Sati married Shiva and lived blissfully on Mount Kailash. However, Daksha's arrogance led him to insult Shiva during a grand yagna, sacrifice. Unable to tolerate the insult of her beloved husband, Sati immolated herself in the sacred fire, cursing Daksha's lineage. Shiva, devastated, performed the Rudra Tandav, destroying the yagna. Later, Shiva withdrew into meditation, detaching from worldly ties. Sati reincarnated as Uma, also called Parvati, born to Himalaya, the personification of the Himalayas, and Menka. From her early years, Uma was drawn to Shiva. She worshipped him with unwavering devotion, chanting Om Namah Shivaya daily. When Uma reached maturity, her father desired to see her happily married. Sages advised that only Lord Shiva, the great yogi, was her destined husband. Meanwhile, the demon Tarkasura terrorized gods and sages. He had a boon that only Shiva's son could kill him. But Shiva was lost in deep meditation, detached from worldly matters. The gods approached Kamdeva, the god of love, to awaken Shiva's emotions towards Uma. Kamdeva, with his wife Rati, approached Shiva's abode. With his sugarcane bow and flower-tipped arrows, he shot the arrow of desire at Shiva. Enraged at the disturbance of his meditation, Shiva opened his third eye, burning Kamdeva to ashes. The sky trembled, Rati wept, and Uma realized only intense tapasya, penance, could earn Shiva's attention. Determined, Uma renounced her royal comforts. She wore bark clothes, lived on fruits and roots, and later survived on mere air. Her penance grew so intense that even the gods feared for her life. Birds nested in her hair, snow covered her body, yet her mind remained fixed on Shiva. The sages, seeing her resolve, praised Uma as Tapasvini, the highest among the ascetics. Finally, Lord Shiva appeared in disguise, testing Uma by criticizing himself. Uma defended Shiva's glory with conviction and love. Revealing his true form, Shiva blessed Uma. "O Devi, your devotion has conquered me. You shall be my eternal consort." The wedding of Shiva and Uma was grand. Brahma officiated as the priest. Vishnu attended as the brother of Uma. Sages, gods, and celestial beings gathered to witness the divine union. Shiva arrived in his Bhairava form, accompanied by ghosts and ganas, scaring the royal court. But Uma saw only love in Shiva. On Mount Kailash, they lived in blissful harmony, performing penance, dance, and divine conversation, showing the perfect balance of yogic renunciation and family life. From their union, Kartikeya, Skand, was born, glowing with the power of fire. Kartikeya led the celestial armies, destroying Tarkasura, ending the demon's tyranny, and restoring cosmic balance. On Kailash, Shiva and Uma engaged in many divine leelas, plays. Uma as Annapurna, feeding the hungry including Shiva himself. Uma questioning Shiva, leading to sacred dialogues known as Shiv Gita. Shiva teaching yoga, with Uma asking questions for the benefit of mankind. Uma manifested in different forms. Durga, the fierce warrior who destroyed Mahishasur. Gauri, the gentle form blessing marriages and prosperity. Kali, the terrifying form eliminating ego and sin. Jagat Mata, mother of all beings. In every form, she remained Shiva's Ardhangini, half-body partner, representing energy, while Shiva remained the silent consciousness. The Uma Samhita shares profound teachings. Love and devotion conquer even the Supreme Being. Penance, tapasya, transforms fate. Ego leads to downfall, as seen with Daksha. Sincerity is more important than rituals. Shiva and Uma together symbolize life and salvation. Shiva, the consciousness, Uma, the energy. The ultimate message. One who chants Shiva's name, respects the feminine divine, and follows righteousness, attains liberation. Sut Ji concluded, "Whosoever listens to the tale of Uma and Shiva with devotion shall be blessed with health, wealth, happiness, and final liberation." Even in the age of Kali, remembering the divine love of Uma and Shiva cleanses all sins and connects the soul to eternity. With hearts full of reverence, the sages chanted, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Uma Maheshwaraya Namah. Shiv Puran Chapter 6. Kailash Samhita. In the sacred Himalayas rises the majestic Mount Kailash, the eternal abode of Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati. The Kailash Samhita begins with sages asking Sut Maharshi to explain the glory of Kailash and Shiva's supreme knowledge. Sut Ji narrated, Kailash is no ordinary mountain. It is the axis of the universe, where Lord Shiva eternally resides, radiating wisdom and liberation. He described how the four rivers, Ganga, Sutlej, Brahmaputra, and Indus, flow from its peaks, nourishing all beings, and how its very soil grants spiritual elevation. Kailash is not just geography, it is the heart of cosmic consciousness. When the world fell into ignorance, Brahma and Vishnu prayed to Shiva. From Mount Kailash, Shiva manifested in his Sadashiv form, surrounded by Ganas, sages, and celestial beings. His 5 heads spoke the 5 supreme mantras. Sadyojata, for creation, Vamdev, for preservation, Aghora, for dissolution, Tatpurush, for concealment, Ishan, for supreme transcendence. From Kailash, Shiva began teaching spiritual wisdom, the secrets of yoga, jnana, knowledge, and bhakti, devotion, to the assembled gods and sages. In the most sacred dialogue of Kailash Samhita, Parvati, curious about the path to salvation, asks Shiva, O Mahadev, what is the simplest way for beings to escape suffering and attain peace? Shiva, smiling compassionately, teaches. Chanting Om Namah Shivaya destroys all sins. Worshipping the Shivlinga connects one to infinite consciousness. Meditation on Kailash, even mentally, uplifts the soul. Detachment, Vairagya, and compassion, Daya, are the highest virtues. Shiva explains the importance of Guru, the sacredness of selfless service, and the supreme value of truthfulness. Parvati asks about righteous actions. Shiva narrates from Kailash. Daily rituals, Nitya Karma, like sunrise worship, offering water, and reciting Shiva's names. Occasional rituals, Naimittika Karma, like Pradosha Vrat, Shivratri, and Shravan worship. The supreme worship of Bilva leaves, water Abhishekam, and Rudraksh beads. Shiva declares, one who performs even simple worship with devotion gains what intense tapas cannot achieve. Even untouchables, animals, or fallen beings are liberated by remembering Shiva from the heart. Shiva reveals to Parvati the supreme Panchakshari mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. This mantra vibrates across the cosmos, aligns all chakras, and burns karmic bondage. He also shares other sacred mantras. Mahamrityunjaya mantra for conquering death. Rudra Gayatri for supreme realization. Shiva Kavacham for protection from all harms. Parvati asks, how can people in Kali Yuga attain liberation? Shiva replies, by chanting my names and remembering Kailash, even sinners achieve moksha. When demons like Tripursura, Andhakasura, and others terrorized the world, the gods ran to Kailash. Shiva, from Kailash, took fierce forms. As Tripurantaka, he destroyed the 3 flying cities of demons. As Andhakasuravadh, he annihilated the arrogant demon Andhaka. As Bhairava, he protected sages from Daksha's arrogance. Yet, Shiva remained detached, returning to Kailash after every cosmic battle, teaching the world that violence is only to restore dharma, never for ego. Sutji tells the tale of a hunter who unknowingly dropped bilva leaves on a shivling beneath a tree. When death arrived, Shiva's ganas came from Kailash, escorting him to Shivalok, proving even unintended acts of devotion are rewarded by Mahadev. Parvati learns about Kashi, which is linked to Kailash through invisible threads of grace. Gokarn, Amarnath, and other tirths connected to Kailash's energy. The power of Rudraksh beads, born from Shiva's tears on Kailash, granting liberation. Shiva explains the inner Kailash. True Kailash lies within your heart. The peak is realization, the path is devotion. Meditation, dhyana, is the path to internal Kailash. Service, seva, purifies the mind. Knowledge, janana, cuts the knot of ignorance. Bhakti, devotion, melts even Shiva's heart. Even without rituals, simple remembrance of Shiva leads to self-realization. Shiva concludes to Parvati. Whoever listens to Kailash Sanhita, even once, will never fall into lower births. Householders gain prosperity, ascetics attain enlightenment, sinners are forgiven, devotees are led to Kailash after death. Sutji ends the narration saying, Kailash is the door to the infinite. Remember it daily, chant Shiva's name and fear nothing. With the chants of Om Namah Shivaya, the sages felt blessed. Sutji blessed all listeners saying, even in the darkest times, Kailash remains the light. Shiva remains the hope. Shiv Puran Chapter 7. Vaivya Sanghita. In the sacred Naimishranya forest, the great sages, led by Shaunaka, gathered and asked Sut Maharshi, O learned one, tell us the supreme glories of Lord Shiva through the Vaivya Sanghita. Sutji smiled and began. O sages, Vaivya Sanghita is the treasure house of stories, rituals, and wisdom describing Shiva's supreme compassion and omnipresence, particularly connected with the Vayu, wind, and cosmic life force. Sutji narrated. In the beginning, when the 5 elements were created, Vayu, air, emerged from the heart of Lord Shiva. The gentle Vayu became the life breath of the universe. It flowed from Kailash, sustaining life, moving oceans, and carrying the essence of divine mantras. Lord Shiva, as Vayuvyakta, was declared the Lord of Winds, the invisible sustainer of creation. Shiva declared from Kailash, wherever my winds touch, their sacred energy resides. Thus, the Vaivya Sanghita describes how sacred tirths, holy places, came to be. Prayag, where confluence of rivers was energized by Shiva's air. Kashi, where even the wind whispers the name of Shiva. Gokarn, where Shiva's breath resided after defeating Ravana's arrogance. Amarnath, where wind echoes Shiva's secret teachings. Sutji narrated, even a gentle breeze that touches the shivling becomes holy. Story 1, The Poor Brahman and the Wind-Blown Flower. A poor Brahman once sent a single flower through the wind to a distant shivling, thinking he could not reach it. Shiva accepted it joyfully and granted him moksha after death. Story 2, The Thief Redeemed. A thief who unknowingly rested under a sacred tree where vines carried bilva leaves to a shivling was freed from cycles of birth. Parvati asked Shiva, "O Lord, how can beings worship you in this fast-moving world?" Shiva explained the simplest ways. Offer bilva leaves, even if dried and blown by wind. Chant Om Namah Shivaya, even once daily. Meditate on the invisible Shiva, realizing him in breath, each inhalation as so, each exhalation as ham. Observe Pradosh Vrat on the 13th day, especially during the time when winds are calm, twilight. Shiva, from Kailash, taught Vaivya Yoga, where prana, life force, is worshipped. The body is the temple, breath is the offering, and consciousness is Shiva himself. Through controlled breath, pranayam, the mind becomes calm and merges into Shiv Tattva. Sages like Markandeya, Vyas, and Valmiki attained enlightenment through Vaivya Yoga. Once, Vayu himself became arrogant. To humble him, Shiva assumed the form of a vast, invisible force, enclosing the universe in silence. Vayu lost his powers until he surrendered to Shiva. Shiva blesses humility, punishes pride, and teaches even the gods to bow to higher truth. From the heights of Mount Kailash, winds flow in 4 directions, carrying the energy of bhakti to the south, the message of dharma to the north, the blessing of jnana, knowledge, to the east, the strength of vairagya, renunciation, to the west. The wind becomes a messenger of liberation, leading all beings to righteousness. Parvati asks, in Kali Yuga, when rituals fade, how will people attain Shiva? Shiva answers, O Devi, those who chant even a single mantra with sincerity, who offer even a single leaf to a shivling, or meditate on their breath remembering me, shall attain liberation. Even in the darkest times, wind carrying Shiva's presence will uplift the fallen, bless the seekers, and guide the lost. Sutji concludes, whoever listens to Vaivya Sanghita with devotion will be freed from sins, blessed with peace, and will attain Shiv Lok. Shiva's final promise. O beings, I am not limited to form. I am the gentle wind, the sacred mantra, and the supreme consciousness within. Seek me sincerely, and you shall find me, always with you. The sages in Naimishranya bowed, hearts filled with joy. With the sacred chant of Om Namah Shivaya, they felt the cool, sacred breeze of Kailash touch their souls, a divine assurance of eternal companionship with Mahadev.